Welcome to Z Cineplex, say your ultimate entertainment destination. Welcome to Z Cineplex, the home of entertainment, creativity, and cinematic excitement. Our channel is dedicated to bringing viewers a rich collection of engaging content that celebrates the world of movies, storytelling, and visual entertainment. Whether you're a passionate film enthusiast, someone who enjoys discovering new cinematic experiences, or simply looking for high-quality entertainment, Z Cineplex is designed to be your go-to destination. We strive to create content that is informative, enjoyable, and engaging for audiences of all ages, offering a unique blend of movie-related features, entertainment updates, insightful discussions, creative videos, and much more. Every upload is crafted with attention to quality, ensuring that our viewers receive an enjoyable experience that keeps them coming back for more. At Z Cineplex, we believe that cinema is more than just watching films. It's about experiencing emotions, exploring stories, appreciating creativity, and connecting with people who share the same passion for entertainment. Our mission is to build a vibrant community where movie lovers and entertainment enthusiasts can discover exciting content, share their opinions, and stay connected with the latest trends in the entertainment industry. We are committed to consistently improving our content, embracing new ideas, and delivering videos that entertain, inform, and inspire our growing audience. Whether you're here for movie highlights, entertainment discussions, reviews, cinematic moments, or fresh creative content, Z Cineplex promises an enjoyable journey filled with excitement, quality, and unforgettable entertainment. Join our community by subscribing, turning on notifications, and becoming part of the Z Cineplex family as we continue to explore the fascinating world of cinema and entertainment together. Thank you for your support, and welcome to Z Cineplex, wherever video brings entertainment to life. Pirates of the Caribbean: Dead Man's Chest is a 2006 American fantasy swashbuckler film directed by Gore Verbinski, written by Ted Elliott and Terry Rossio, and produced by Jerry Bruckheimer for Walt Disney Pictures. Serving as the sequel to Pirates of the Caribbean: The Curse of the Black Pearl, 2003, it is the second installment in the Pirates of the Caribbean film series and the middle chapter of a two-part story that concludes with At World's End, 2007. Set approximately 1 year after the events of the first film, the story follows the eccentric pirate Captain Jack Sparrow, Johnny Depp, who discovers that the time has come to repay a blood debt owed to the legendary Davy Jones, Bill Nighy, the cursed captain of the ghostly vessel Flying Dutchman. Unless Jack can escape his fate, he is condemned to a century of servitude aboard Jones' ship and becomes the target of the monstrous Kraken, an enormous sea creature unleashed to hunt him down. At the same time, Will Turner, Orlando Bloom, and Elizabeth Swann, Keira Knightley, find their long-awaited wedding abruptly interrupted when the ruthless Lord Cutler Beckett, Tom Hollander, representing the increasingly powerful East India Trading Company, arrests them and offers Will a chance at their freedom in exchange for retrieving Jack Sparrow's enchanted compass. The magical compass, capable of pointing toward whatever its holder desires most, becomes the key to locating the legendary Dead Man's Chest, which contains the still-beating heart of Davy Jones and grants its possessor ultimate leverage over the feared sea captain. As Jack, Will, and Elizabeth become entangled in a dangerous race involving cursed pirates, supernatural forces, hidden betrayals, and shifting alliances, the film expands the mythology of the franchise with larger-scale action sequences, darker fantasy elements, and deeper exploration of its central characters. Following the enormous worldwide success of The Curse of the Black Pearl, Disney quickly commissioned two sequels in 2004, with Ted Elliott and Terry Rossio developing an interconnected narrative that would span both films. Principal photography for Dead Man's Chest took place from February to September 2005 across numerous international locations, including Palos Verdes, California, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Dominica, and the Bahamas, alongside elaborate soundstage productions at Walt Disney Studios. The film was shot back-to-back with At World's End, an ambitious production approach that allowed the creative team to maintain continuity across the two films while significantly expanding the scale of the series. Featuring groundbreaking visual effects created by Industrial Light Magic, particularly for the motion capture performance of Davy Jones and his grotesque crew. The film pushed the boundaries of digital filmmaking. With an estimated production budget of $225 million, it became the most expensive film ever produced at the time of its release. Dead Man's Chest premiered at the Disneyland Resort in Anaheim, California, on June 24, 2006, before receiving a wide theatrical release in the United States on July 7, 2006. Although critics offered mixed reviews, with praise directed toward Johnny Depp's performance, the film's spectacular visual effects, ambitious action sequences, humor, and imaginative world-building, some criticized its complex narrative structure, lengthy runtime, and unresolved cliffhanger ending. Despite the divided critical response, the film proved to be an overwhelming commercial success and shattered numerous box office records. It earned a then-record $135.6 million during its opening weekend in North America, became the fastest film in history to surpass $1 billion worldwide, achieving the milestone in just 63 days, and ultimately grossed approximately $1.066 billion worldwide against its $225 million budget. It finished as the highest-grossing film of 2006, became the third highest-grossing film of all time at the end of its initial theatrical run, and remained the highest-grossing installment in the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise. It also stood as Disney's highest-grossing film worldwide until it was surpassed by Toy Story 3 in 2010. At the 79th Academy Awards, the film received 4 nominations, including Best Art Direction, Best Sound Editing, Best Sound Mixing, and Best Visual Effects, winning the Oscar for Best Visual Effects in recognition of its groundbreaking digital achievements. Its story concluded with the release of Pirates of the Caribbean at World's End in 2007, cementing Dead Man's Chest as one of Disney's most commercially successful and technologically influential blockbuster films. Approximately 1 year after the events of The Curse of the Black Pearl, Will Turner and Elizabeth Swann prepare to celebrate their long-awaited wedding in Port Royal. Their ceremony is abruptly interrupted by Lord Cutler Beckett, the ambitious chairman of the East India Trading Company, who arrives with arrest warrants for both Will and Elizabeth on charges of aiding the escape of the pirate captain Jack Sparrow. Beckett also possesses a warrant for the disgraced former Royal Navy officer James Norrington, who disappeared after losing the HMS Dauntless in a devastating hurricane while pursuing Jack Sparrow. Determined to eliminate piracy and expand the company's dominance over the seas, Beckett reveals that he carries letters of marque personally signed by King George II, granting him broad authority over Britain's naval operations. Beckett offers Will a bargain: if he can locate Jack Sparrow and retrieve his mysterious magical compass, the charges against him and Elizabeth will be dropped, allowing them to live together in freedom. With no alternative, Will reluctantly accepts the dangerous mission and sets sail in search of the elusive pirate captain. Elsewhere aboard the Black Pearl, Jack Sparrow experiences increasingly ominous signs that his past has finally caught up with him. He is confronted by Bootstrap Bill Turner, Will's long-lost father, who now serves as one of the cursed crewmen aboard the legendary ghost ship Flying Dutchman under the command of the feared Davy Jones. Bootstrap reminds Jack of a bargain made 13 years earlier, when Jones raised the sunken Black Pearl from the ocean floor and granted Jack 13 years as its captain. That debt has now come due, and unless Jack honors his agreement by serving 100 years aboard the Flying Dutchman, Jones will unleash the monstrous Kraken to drag both Jack and his ship into Davy Jones' locker. Before departing, Bootstrap marks Jack with the dreaded black spot, a supernatural curse signaling that the Kraken has begun its hunt. Will eventually tracks the Black Pearl's crew to a remote tropical island inhabited by a tribe that mistakes Jack for the reincarnated chief they intend to sacrifice. After helping Jack and his crew escape from the island's cannibal inhabitants through a series of chaotic encounters, Will confronts Jack and demands the magical compass promised to Beckett. Jack instead persuades Will to assist him in locating the dead man's chest, claiming that only by obtaining its contents can they both escape their respective fates. Their search leads them to the mysterious swamp dwelling of Tia Dalma, an enigmatic voodoo priestess and sorceress who possesses extensive knowledge of supernatural forces. She explains that the legendary chest contains the still-beating heart of Davy Jones, which Jones cut out to escape the unbearable pain of losing his true love. Whoever possesses the heart can command Jones himself, making it the ultimate weapon against the captain of the Flying Dutchman. Tia Dalma provides Jack with a magical jar of earth and guidance toward the chest's hidden location, warning him that the path ahead will demand difficult choices and sacrifices. During the search, Will secretly boards the Flying Dutchman in an attempt to rescue Jack from his obligation, but Jones cunningly tricks him into taking Jack's place among the cursed crew. Davy Jones agrees to spare Jack temporarily if he can deliver 99 additional souls to serve aboard the Flying Dutchman within 3 days, allowing Jones to complete the 100 souls owed under their bargain. Aboard the haunted vessel, Will is reunited with his father Bootstrap Bill, who has gradually begun losing his memories and humanity due to the curse. Bootstrap explains that every sailor who serves Jones slowly becomes fused with sea life until they are no longer recognizable as human. Will also learns that Jones personally carries the key to the dead man's chest around his neck. During a tense game of liar's dice, Will cleverly manipulates the crew and manages to steal the key before escaping aboard the merchant vessel Edinburgh Trader. Furious at his betrayal, Davy Jones summons the Kraken to destroy the ship. The monstrous sea creature devastates the vessel, slaughtering nearly everyone aboard, but Will narrowly escapes with the precious key and continues his mission. Meanwhile, Elizabeth remains imprisoned in Port Royal until her father, Governor Weatherby Swan, secretly arranges her escape. Before he can flee himself, however, Beckett captures him, leaving Elizabeth alone to uncover the true purpose behind Beckett's plans. She secretly steals the letters of Mark and journeys to Tortuga, where she encounters both the disgraced and drunken James Norrington and Jack Sparrow's crew. Jack once again manipulates those around him by allowing Elizabeth to use the enchanted compass, knowing it will point toward whatever she desires most. Her longing to find Will ultimately leads everyone to Isla Cruces, the island where the dead man's chest is buried. Upon reaching the island, Jack digs up the chest, but the situation quickly spirals into chaos as Davy Jones' crew arrives in pursuit. A spectacular three-way confrontation erupts between Jack Sparrow, Will Turner, and James Norrington, each fighting for possession of Davy Jones' heart for entirely different reasons. Jack seeks to destroy or bargain with the heart to free himself from Jones and stop the Kraken's pursuit. Will hopes to use it as leverage to release his father from eternal servitude aboard the Flying Dutchman. Norrington, desperate to restore his ruined career and reputation, sees the heart as his opportunity to regain favor with the British Crown. Their duel expands across the island in an elaborate and acrobatic sword fight involving swinging bridges, collapsing ruins, and even a giant rolling water wheel. Amid the confusion, Norrington secretly steals both the heart and Beckett's letters of marque before escaping into the jungle. His theft distracts Davy Jones' crew long enough for Jack, Will, Elizabeth, and the surviving members of the Black Pearl's crew to flee aboard their ship. The escape proves short-lived when Davy Jones summons the Kraken for one final attack against the Black Pearl. The colossal sea monster tears through the vessel with devastating force, crashing masts, smashing the hull, and slaughtering much of the crew. Jack, overwhelmed by fear, initially abandons ship in a small lifeboat, believing escape to be his only chance of survival. However, guilt and loyalty ultimately compel him to return to the Black Pearl, where he joins the remaining crew in a desperate last stand. Using barrels of gunpowder, rum, and heavy nets, they manage to wound the Kraken temporarily, buying enough time for the surviving crew members to evacuate. Jack orders everyone to abandon ship, fully intending to face his destiny alone. Realizing that the Kraken will pursue only Jack Sparrow and no one else, Elizabeth makes an agonizing decision to save the remaining crew. Pretending to embrace Jack romantically, she unexpectedly handcuffs him to the ship's mast, preventing his escape and allowing everyone else to flee aboard the last surviving lifeboat. Though devastated by her betrayal, Jack accepts his fate with characteristic courage and humor. As the Kraken engulfs the Black Pearl, Jack draws his sword and charges toward the creature in a final act of defiance before both he and the legendary ship are dragged beneath the sea into Davy Jones' locker. Believing Jack's debt finally settled, Davy Jones opens the dead man's chest expecting to find his heart, only to discover that it has been stolen. Meanwhile, Norrington delivers both the heart and the letters of marque to Lord Cutler Beckett. Recognizing the immense power the heart represents, Beckett restores Norrington to the Royal Navy and secures control over Davy Jones, the Flying Dutchman, and the Kraken, giving the East India Trading Company an unprecedented advantage in its campaign to eradicate piracy across the seas. With Jack seemingly lost forever, Elizabeth, Will, Gibbs, and the surviving crew return to Teodalma, who reveals that there may still be hope of rescuing him from the ends of the world. She then introduces the one man capable of guiding them into Davy Jones' locker, the resurrected Captain Hector Barbossa, whose unexpected return sets the stage for the events of Pirates of the Caribbean. At World's End, the film features an extensive ensemble cast led by Johnny Depp as Captain Jack Sparrow, the eccentric, unpredictable, and charismatic pirate captain of the Black Pearl. Having previously bargained with the legendary Davy Jones to raise the Black Pearl from the ocean floor, Jack now faces the consequences of that deal after 13 years of freedom. Marked with the dreaded black spot and relentlessly pursued by the monstrous Kraken, Jack embarks on a desperate quest to locate the legendary dead man's chest. Believing that possession of Davy Jones' still-beating heart is the only way to escape eternal servitude aboard the Flying Dutchman, Depp once again delivers one of his most iconic performances, blending comedy, improvisation, eccentric mannerisms, and unexpected emotional depth, further cementing Captain Jack Sparrow as one of modern cinema's most recognizable characters. Orlando Bloom stars as William Will Turner, a skilled blacksmith-turned-pirate whose peaceful future with Elizabeth Swann is shattered when the East India Trading Company arrests them on their wedding day. Forced into an uneasy alliance with Lord Cutler Beckett, Will sets out to recover Jack Sparrow's magical compass in exchange for Elizabeth's freedom. His journey ultimately reunites him with his long-lost father, Bootstrap Bill Turner, now a cursed crewman aboard the Flying Dutchman. Determined to free his father from Davy Jones' eternal service, Will becomes caught in a dangerous struggle between pirates, the British Empire, and supernatural forces while continuing to demonstrate his courage, loyalty, and unwavering sense of honor. Keira Knightley portrays Elizabeth Swann, the intelligent, resourceful, and fearless daughter of Governor Weatherby Swann and Will Turner's fiancée tilde copyrightee. Arrested alongside Will for aiding Jack Sparrow's escape from Port Royal, Elizabeth later escapes imprisonment and embarks on her own perilous adventure across the Caribbean. She infiltrates pirate strongholds, steals Lord Beckett's letters of marque, and ultimately reunites with both Will and Jack during the search for the dead man's chest. Throughout the film, Elizabeth evolves into an increasingly capable adventurer and strategist, culminating in the heartbreaking decision to sacrifice Jack Sparrow to the Kraken in order to save the remaining crew of the Black Pearl. Bill Nighy delivers a critically acclaimed motion capture performance as Davy Jones, the terrifying captain of the supernatural ghost ship Flying Dutchman. Once a mortal sailor who experienced profound heartbreak after losing the love of his life, Jones carved out his own heart to escape emotional pain and locked it inside the legendary dead man's chest. Over time he transformed into a grotesque sea creature bearing the characteristics of an octopus, crab, squid, and other marine life. As captain of the Flying Dutchman, Jones ferries the souls of sailors lost at sea, offering dying men 100 years of service aboard his vessel in exchange for survival. His haunting appearance, tragic backstory, and groundbreaking visual effects made him one of the most celebrated and technologically impressive villains in modern fantasy cinema, earning widespread praise for both Nighy's performance and Industrial Light Magic's revolutionary digital character animation. Stellan Skarsgård appears as William Bootstrap Bill Turner, Will's father and one of the cursed crew members serving aboard the Flying Dutchman. Formerly a pirate aboard the Black Pearl under Captain Hector Barbossa, Bootstrap participated in the search for the cursed Aztec treasure on Isla de Muerta but eventually opposed Barbossa's mutiny against Jack Sparrow. After revealing the truth about the treasure to Will, Barbossa punished him by tying him to a cannon and throwing him into the sea. Trapped beneath the ocean while immortal because of the Aztec curse, Bootstrap eventually accepted Davy Jones' offer of salvation, unknowingly condemning himself to eternal servitude. As years pass aboard the Flying Dutchman, he slowly loses both his humanity and memories while desperately hoping his son can someday free him. Jack Davenport reprises his role as James Norrington, the once proud Commodore of the Royal Navy. Following his humiliating failure to capture Jack Sparrow and the destruction of the HMS Dauntless during a hurricane, Norrington resigns his commission and falls into alcoholism and disgrace. Living as a drunken outcast in Tortuga, he unexpectedly becomes involved in the search for the dead man's chest. Motivated by a desire to restore his honor, reputation, and military career, Norrington ultimately betrays both Jack and Will by stealing Davy Jones' heart and delivering it to Lord Cutler Beckett, securing his reinstatement within the Royal Navy. Tom Hollander joins the franchise as Lord Cutler Beckett, the ruthless chairman of the East India Trading Company and one of the trilogy's principal antagonists. Intelligent, manipulative, and politically influential, Beckett seeks complete control over the Caribbean by eliminating piracy once and for all. Rather than pursuing treasure, his true objective is obtaining Davy Jones' heart, allowing him to command both the Flying Dutchman and the Kraken through Jones' forced obedience. Beckett's calculated schemes manipulate nearly every major character throughout the film and establish him as the central human threat for the remainder of the trilogy. Kevin McNally returns as Joshua Gibbs, Jack Sparrow's loyal first mate and closest friend aboard the Black Pearl, a former sailor in the Royal Navy who once served under Lieutenant James Norrington. Gibbs provides comic relief, practical wisdom, and unwavering loyalty throughout the adventure. Despite Jack's eccentric behavior and increasingly hopeless circumstances, Gibbs remains one of the few crew members who never abandons his captain and later becomes instrumental in organizing the mission to rescue him. Naomi Harris portrays Tia Dalma, the mysterious Obeah priestess and powerful mystic whose deep knowledge of Caribbean folklore and supernatural forces proves invaluable. Having previously traded Jack Sparrow his enchanted compass, she explains the legends surrounding Davy Jones, the Flying Dutchman, and the dead man's chest. Tia Dalma also provides Jack with magical guidance and, in the film's closing moments, reveals that she possesses the ability to resurrect the supposedly dead Captain Hector Barbossa, hinting at her far greater mystical significance within the mythology of the series. Jonathan Pryce returns as Governor Weatherby Swan, the governor of Port Royal and Elizabeth's devoted father. Though genuinely concerned for his daughter's safety and future, he finds himself powerless against the growing influence of Lord Cutler Beckett and the East India Trading Company. His attempts to protect Elizabeth ultimately lead to his own imprisonment, illustrating the company's expanding political control over the British colonies. The Black Pearl's colorful pirate crew also returns with Leah Ranberg as Pintel, the loud, argumentative pirate who remains inseparable from his longtime companion Ray Getty, portrayed by Mackenzie Crook. Ray Getty, distinguished by his missing within an unexpectedly philosophical personality, frequently provides comic relief while demonstrating an unusual fascination with religion despite being largely illiterate. Other returning crew members include David Bailey as Caton, the mute pirate whose trained parrot speaks on his behalf, Martin Klebba as Marty, the fearless dwarf pirate, and Derek O'Connor as the very old man, an elderly but determined member of Jack Sparrow's crew. Among the supporting cast, David Schofield portrays Ian Mercer, Lord Beckett's cold and ruthless chief lieutenant who faithfully carries out the East India Trading Company's increasingly brutal orders. Alex Norton appears as Captain Bellamy, captain of the merchant vessel Edinburgh Trader, whose ship becomes the target of the Kraken after Will Turner escapes with the key to the dead man's chest. John Boswell portrays Wyvern, one of Davy Jones' oldest and most heavily transformed crew members, whose body has almost completely fused with the Flying Dutchman after decades of cursed service. The film concludes with the surprise appearance by Geoffrey Rush as Captain Hector Barbossa, the former captain of the Black Pearl and Jack Sparrow's longtime rival. Although Barbossa was killed at the conclusion of the Curse of the Black Pearl, he unexpectedly returns in the film's final scene after being resurrected by Tia Dalma. His dramatic reappearance, kept uncredited prior to the film's release to preserve the surprise, sets the stage for the concluding chapter of the trilogy, Pirates of the Caribbean. At World's End, 2007. Following the extraordinary worldwide success of Pirates of the Caribbean, The Curse of the Black Pearl, 2003, which transformed the franchise into one of Disney's most valuable film series, Walt Disney Pictures quickly approved the production of 2 sequels. Rather than developing a single follow-up, the studio committed to filming the second and third installments back-to-back, allowing the filmmakers to retain the same principal cast, creative team, and production infrastructure while reducing long-term costs and maintaining narrative continuity. The ambitious strategy also enabled director Gore Verbinski, producer Jerry Bruckheimer, and the returning ensemble including Johnny Depp, Orlando Bloom, and Keira Knightley to tell a much larger, interconnected story without the lengthy delays typically associated with major blockbuster sequels. Production officially entered development in 2004, marking one of the most ambitious filmmaking undertakings attempted by Disney at the time. Screenwriters Ted Elliott and Terry Rossio deliberately avoided the traditional sequel formula of presenting standalone adventures featuring recurring characters, as seen in franchises such as Indiana Jones and James Bond. Instead, they envisioned the series as a single epic trilogy, retroactively transforming The Curse of the Black Pearl into the opening chapter of a larger narrative. Their goal was to examine the consequences of the first film's ending rather than simply repeating its formula. They explored what life would realistically be like for Will Turner and Elizabeth Swann after finally declaring their love, while simultaneously placing Captain Jack Sparrow at the center of an increasingly supernatural conflict. Early story discussions included the legendary Fountain of Youth as the central mythological element, but the writers ultimately abandoned that concept in favor of introducing the far darker legend of Davy Jones, the ghost ship Flying Dutchman, the monstrous Kraken, and the mystical Dead Man's Chest. These additions significantly expanded the mythology of the franchise, blending maritime folklore with fantasy and horror influences. Elliott and Rossio also incorporated the historical East India Trading Company into the story as the trilogy's primary human antagonist, using the powerful trading corporation to symbolize imperial control, industrialization, and the suppression of personal freedom, in direct contrast to the pirates' ideals of independence and life beyond the law. Pre-production officially began in June 2004, with the filmmakers designing a production that would dwarf every aspect of its predecessor. Unlike The Curse of the Black Pearl, which relied primarily on location shooting in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, the sequels required a far greater number of elaborate sets, practical ships, large-scale water effects, and sophisticated visual effects. To accommodate the expanded action sequences, the production team constructed several full-size working vessels capable of filming at sea. Most notably, a fully seaworthy version of the Black Pearl was built by extensively modifying the Sunset, a former offshore service vessel that had previously operated around oil platforms in the Gulf of Mexico. The ship was reconstructed as by Blockbuster, Alabama, with extensive custom-built pirate detailing, allowing the filmmakers to capture authentic ocean photography while minimizing reliance on digital effects. Additional ships, large water tanks, and elaborate harbor sets were also created to support the increasingly complex naval battles and maritime action featured throughout both sequels. Development proved particularly challenging due to the enormous scope of the project and the constantly evolving screenplay. By November 2004, the script remained unfinished, largely because Elliott and Rossio refused to rush the creative process or compromise the story simply to satisfy production deadlines. Rather than forcing the writers to deliver an incomplete screenplay, Gore Verbinski devised an unconventional production strategy. Working closely with storyboard artist and conceptual designer James Ward Burkett, Verbinski meticulously planned many of the film's largest action sequences through extensive storyboards, visual planning, and pre-visualization, enabling departments such as production design, stunt coordination, and visual effects to begin preparing without requiring every scene to be fully scripted. Meanwhile, Elliott and Rossio produced a temporary preparatory screenplay that provided the cast and crew with enough narrative structure to begin logistical planning while the final script continued to evolve. As production deadlines approached, the film faced increasing financial pressure. By January 2005, the combination of an unfinished screenplay, Escalating construction costs, extensive location work, and the unprecedented decision to film two massive sequels simultaneously caused Disney executives to question the viability of the project. At one point, the studio reportedly considered delaying or even canceling production altogether because of the absence of a finalized script and the rapidly expanding budget. However, after discussions with Jerry Bruckheimer and Gore Verbinski, Disney ultimately reaffirmed its commitment to the project, recognizing the commercial potential created by the first film's enormous success. Elliott and Rossio continued rewriting scenes throughout principal photography, frequently traveling with the production unit and delivering revised pages while filming was already underway. Rather than viewing the constantly changing screenplay as a disadvantage, the writers believed the ongoing revisions encouraged greater spontaneity from the actors, allowing performances to feel more natural and dynamic. This flexible creative process also enabled Verbinski to refine dialogue, character interactions, and action sequences in response to the cast's performances and the realities of filming on location, ultimately contributing to the distinctive energy and unpredictability that became defining characteristics of Pirates of the Caribbean. Dead Man's Chest. Principal photography for Pirates of the Caribbean. Dead Man's Chest officially commenced on February 28, 2005, with the first scenes filmed at Palos Verdes, California, beginning with the sequence depicting the ruined wedding of Will Turner and Elizabeth Swann. This opening sequence also introduced Lord Cutler Beckett, whose memorable arrival on horseback while standing inside a small boat became one of the film's most distinctive visual moments. The idea had originally been conceived years earlier by screenwriters Ted Elliott and Terry Rossio for The Mask of Sorrow, 1998, but it had been abandoned because of its cost. During pre-production on Dead Man's Chest, several crew members again questioned the practicality and safety of staging the sequence, considering it either too expensive, unbelievable, or unnecessarily dangerous. Director Gore Verbinski, however, remained committed to realizing the writer's vision. After several weeks of planning, rehearsals, stunt preparation, and technical coordination, the sequence was successfully completed in a single day of filming and became one of the movie's most visually memorable introductions. Before relocating overseas, the production spent several days filming at Walt Disney Studios in Burbank, California, where elaborate soundstages housed the interior sets of the Black Pearl, the Edinburgh Trader, and several other ship interiors. These carefully constructed sets allowed the filmmakers to control lighting, camera movement, and complex stunt work before moving to more challenging ocean locations. Production then relocated to St. Vincent and the Grenadines, where extensive exterior photography captured the bustling ports of Port Royal and Tortuga. Many of the large sets originally constructed for the Curse of the Black Pearl were reused, having remarkably survived 3 major hurricanes since the first film's production. However, portions of the Port Royal harbor, including its main pier, required significant reconstruction after storm damage caused a partial collapse in late 2004. To populate the Caribbean harbors with authentic sailing vessels, the filmmakers assembled a fleet of 4 full-sized hull ships. These vessels were repeatedly repainted and redressed to portray different ships throughout the film, maximizing production value while minimizing construction costs. Among them was the famous replica of the HMS Bounty, previously built for the 1962 film Mutiny on the Bounty, which once again served as part of the production's impressive maritime fleet. On April 18, 2005, production moved to the Caribbean island of Dominica, whose untouched rainforests, towering cliffs, waterfalls, and volcanic landscapes perfectly matched Gore Verbinski's vision of a mysterious and isolated tropical world. While the island's dramatic scenery provided an ideal backdrop, the logistical challenges proved immense. The approximately 500-member cast and crew temporarily occupied much of the island's limited infrastructure, placing considerable strain on local roads and transportation systems. Dominica's government had little experience hosting a Hollywood production of such unprecedented scale, making the transportation of equipment, cranes, lighting rigs, generators, and support vehicles particularly difficult. Cast and crew also endured highly unpredictable tropical weather, frequently alternating between torrential rainstorms and intense heat and humidity. The demanding climate was especially challenging for actors required to wear elaborate 18th-century costumes under extreme temperatures while performing physically exhausting action scenes. Dominica served as the primary filming location for several of the film's largest and most memorable sequences. The island's dense jungle became Pelagosto, commonly known as Cannibal Island, where Jack Sparrow is captured by a tribe that believes him to be the reincarnation of their chief. The spectacular chase involving giant bone cages rolling through the jungle was filmed almost entirely with practical props and elaborate stunt choreography rather than computer-generated imagery. Gore Verbinski intentionally favored practical filmmaking techniques whenever possible, believing that authentic physical sets and real stunt work would create a stronger sense of realism and immerse audiences more effectively than digital effects alone. The island's forests also doubled as portions of Isla Cruces, where the search for the dead man's chest ultimately culminates, while its remote swamps became the home of Tia Dalma, whose atmospheric shack was constructed within the island's natural landscape. After more than a month of demanding location photography, filming in Dominico concluded on May 26, 2005. Production subsequently relocated to White Cay, a small uninhabited island in the Bahamas, where filmmakers captured the opening and concluding portions of the dramatic battle on Isla Cruces. Following this stage of filming, the production temporarily paused before resuming later in the summer in Los Angeles, where the elaborate interiors of the supernatural ghost ship Flying Dutchman were constructed on soundstages. These highly detailed sets featured decaying wood, coral growths, shells, barnacles, and other marine textures that blended seamlessly with the extensive digital enhancements later added by Industrial Light Magic. During this period, Keira Knightley, who had recently cut her hair short for her role in Domino, 2005, wore carefully matched hair extensions throughout filming to maintain continuity with Elizabeth Swann's established appearance. Meanwhile, Naomie Harris balanced dual productions by filming all of her scenes as Tia Dalma primarily on weekends while simultaneously appearing in Michael Mann's Miami Vice, 2006. On September 18, 2005, production returned to Grand Bahama Island, where extensive ocean photography captured many of the film's large-scale naval sequences involving both the Black Pearl and the Flying Dutchman. These scenes were among the production's most technically ambitious, combining practical ships, massive outdoor water tanks, blue screen photography, miniature effects, and extensive visual effects work. Filming during the Atlantic hurricane season created numerous delays and safety challenges. Several tropical storms repeatedly interrupted production schedules, while Hurricane Wilma caused significant damage to access roads, water systems, pumps, and production facilities. Fortunately, no members of the cast or crew were injured, and none of the production's full-sized ships suffered catastrophic damage. Despite these setbacks, filming continued whenever weather conditions permitted. Although principal photography was substantially completed during the latter half of 2005, additional photography, pickups, and visual effects-related scenes continued for several months. According to screenwriter Ted Elliott, the overall production finally wrapped on February 7, 2006, with the final shot depicting a raven pecking at Captain Jack Sparrow's coffin, filmed after 2 intensive weeks of overnight shooting that ran continuously from sunset until sunrise. The design of the Flying Dutchman represented one of the production's most ambitious artistic achievements. Production designer Rick Heinrichs and his creative team drew inspiration from 17th-century Dutch fleet merchant ships, combining their distinctive proportions with elements borrowed from the famous Swedish warship Vasa, which famously sank on its maiden voyage in 1628 and was later recovered in remarkably preserved condition. Heinrichs expanded these historical influences into an increasingly fantastical design, covering the vessel with coral, barnacles, seaweed, shells, and other marine growth to create the impression that the ship itself had become a living extension of the ocean floor. The resulting design became one of the franchise's most iconic and visually distinctive creations. Filming also involved numerous demanding stunt sequences, several of which resulted in serious injuries. During production in July 2005, stunt performer Tony Angelotti, who served as Johnny Depp's principal stunt double, suffered a severe accident while performing the elaborate human yo-yo stunt. After striking a tree branch, he sustained a catastrophic injury to his femoral artery that caused extensive internal bleeding. Angelotti lost approximately 6 units of blood, underwent reconstructive surgery on his anterior cruciate ligament, ACL, required pelvic reconstruction, and spent nearly a year recovering before later undergoing additional surgery after complications arose. The accident also left him suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD. Despite these injuries, Angelotti returned to work during the production of Pirates of the Caribbean, at World's End, focusing primarily on lighter stunt work and sword choreography while also assisting as a stunt coordinator. In 2007, he filed a lawsuit against the Walt Disney Company and producer Jerry Bruckheimer over the circumstances surrounding the accident. Visual effects for Dead Man's Chest represented a groundbreaking achievement in digital filmmaking and remain among the film's most celebrated accomplishments. Screenwriters Ted Elliott and Terry Rossio had originally imagined Davy Jones and the crew of the Flying Dutchman as traditional ghosts, but Gore Verbinski rejected that concept in favor of creating physically tangible sea creatures whose appearances reflected years of gradual transformation beneath the ocean. The severity of each sailor's mutation corresponded to the length of time spent serving aboard the Flying Dutchman. Newly recruited sailors displayed relatively minor marine growths, while centuries-old veterans had become almost completely fused with sea life, incorporating features resembling octopuses, crabs, barnacles, coral, starfish, mussels, hammerhead sharks, and other ocean creatures. To ensure biological authenticity, the animation team extensively studied underwater wildlife documentaries narrated by David Attenborough, carefully observing the movement of sea anemones, mollusks, crustaceans, and other marine organisms. Verbinski insisted that every design remain grounded in recognizable biology, rejecting concepts he considered overly fantastical, including an early design featuring a crew member with a giant turtle shell. The Flying Dutchman's crew was created almost entirely through computer-generated imagery, with the notable exception of Stellan Skarsgård's portrayal of Bootstrap Bill Turner. Initially, the filmmakers intended to combine Skarsgård's practical makeup with digital enhancements, but the practical prosthetic work proved sufficiently convincing that extensive CGI augmentation became unnecessary. Skarsgård spent approximately 4 hours each day in the makeup chair applying intricate prosthetics, earning the affectionate on-set nickname Bouillabaisse from fellow crew members because of his fish-like appearance. The film's greatest visual achievement was unquestionably the creation of Davy Jones, whose performance revolutionized motion capture technology. Early concept art depicted Jones with only small facial tendrils before the design evolved into the now iconic octopus-like beard composed of dozens of independently animated tentacles. His weathered skin incorporated textures inspired by unusual real-world materials, including coffee-stained styrofoam cups, shells, coral, and other organic surfaces. During filming, Bill Nighy performed every scene wearing a specially designed motion capture suit rather than acting separately on a dedicated capture stage, allowing him to interact naturally with the other actors. Minimal makeup was applied around his eyes and mouth solely to aid the integration process, while only one sequence required physical prosthetic tentacles. Industrial Light Magic created Jones' digital body using a detailed full-body scan of Nighy, faithfully preserving his facial structure, expressions, and subtle performance nuances. Animators meticulously studied every frame of Nighy's performance, incorporating his distinctive body language, vocal rhythms, and unexpected improvisations into the final digital character. The famous facial tentacles were driven primarily through sophisticated physics simulations but were manually animated whenever they interacted directly with props or behaved like expressive limbs, resulting in one of the most convincing digital characters ever created at the time. Animating the legendary Kraken presented another major technical challenge because no real-world equivalent existed for reference. Animation supervisor Hal Hickel encouraged his team to study vintage monster films, particularly King Kong vs. Godzilla, 1962, whose practical giant octopus sequences helped inspire the creature's movement. During production, many of the Kraken's attacks relied on elaborate practical effects to enhance realism. For the destruction of the Edinburgh trader, two enormous steel pipes filled with approximately 30,000 pounds, 14,000 kilograms, of cement were swung into the ship to physically split its structure apart, while miniature masts, practical debris, stunt performers filmed against blue screens, and digital water simulations completed the illusion. Even some seemingly digital effects were created practically. For example, the thick slime the Kraken spits onto Captain Jack Sparrow consisted of real viscous material thrown directly onto Johnny Depp, producing a far more convincing reaction than computer-generated fluid could have achieved at the time. These innovative practical and digital techniques combined to earn the film the Academy Award for Best Visual Effects and established Pirates of the Caribbean: Dead Man's Chest as one of the most technologically groundbreaking visual effects productions of the 2000s. Disney mounted one of its largest and most ambitious worldwide marketing campaigns for Pirates of the Caribbean: Dead Man's Chest. Recognizing that the sequel carried enormous commercial expectations following the unexpected blockbuster success of Pirates of the Caribbean: The Curse of the Black Pearl, 2003. Designed to reach audiences across North America, Europe, Asia, Latin America, and Australia, the campaign combined traditional theatrical advertising with extensive television promotion, print media, digital marketing, retail partnerships, licensed merchandise, publishing tie-ins, and experiential events. Disney positioned the film as its flagship live-action release of 2006, investing heavily in promotional activities that highlighted the sequel's significantly larger scale, darker tone, spectacular visual effects, and expanded mythology. Marketing materials consistently emphasized the return of fan-favorite characters such as Captain Jack Sparrow, Will Turner, and Elizabeth Swann, while introducing audiences to the franchise's new supernatural villains, including Davy Jones, the ghostly Flying Dutchman, and the fearsome Kraken. The campaign also focused heavily on the film's groundbreaking visual effects, massive action sequences, and epic adventure, presenting Dead Man's Chest as one of the summer's must-see cinematic events. The film's first teaser trailer premiered in December 2005, debuting in theaters alongside Disney's fantasy blockbuster The Chronicles of Narnia, The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe. The teaser generated significant excitement by offering audiences their first glimpse of Johnny Depp returning as Captain Jack Sparrow while introducing brief but striking footage of Bill Nighy's motion capture performance as Davy Jones, whose realistic computer-generated appearance immediately became a major talking point among moviegoers. The preview also showcased glimpses of the Flying Dutchman, the Kraken's destructive attacks, large-scale naval battles, exotic Caribbean locations, and several of the film's elaborate practical stunt sequences, while maintaining an air of mystery around the story itself. In the months leading up to the release, Disney expanded the campaign with multiple full-length theatrical trailers, international trailers, television commercials, character posters, teaser one-sheets, magazine advertisements, online promotional videos, exclusive behind-the-scenes featurettes, and cast interviews. Promotional materials appeared across television networks, cinemas, newspapers, entertainment magazines, billboards, public transportation systems, and emerging online entertainment websites, ensuring that the film maintained a constant presence in the public eye throughout the first half of 2006. Disney also made extensive use of its own media platforms, including ABC, ESPN, Disney Channel, Buena Vista Home Entertainment, and the company's official websites, creating a coordinated cross-promotional campaign that reached audiences of all ages. As part of its publishing strategy, Disney Publishing Worldwide released an extensive range of officially licensed companion books and educational materials based on the film. Among the most notable publications was junior graphic novels, Pirates of the Caribbean: Dead Man's Chest, released in 2007, which adapted the film into an illustrated graphic novel designed primarily for younger readers. The publishing program also included junior novelizations, children's storybooks, movie tie-in novels, activity books, coloring books, sticker books, puzzle books, reading guides, educational publications, collectible calendars, and various souvenir books featuring production photographs, concept artwork, and character profiles. These publications were distributed internationally in multiple languages, extending the film's appeal beyond theatrical audiences while strengthening the franchise's popularity among children, families, and collectors. Many bookstores, libraries, and schools also featured the licensed materials as part of broader promotional displays surrounding the film's release. One of Disney's most innovative promotional initiatives involved an unprecedented partnership with the 2005 806 Volvo Ocean Race, one of the world's premier offshore sailing competitions. Rather than relying solely on traditional advertising, Disney sponsored a professional racing yacht that competed under the team name Pirates of the Caribbean, effectively transforming the international sailing event into a high-profile promotional platform for the film. The yacht itself was named Black Pearl, after Captain Jack Sparrow's legendary pirate ship, reinforcing the film's maritime identity. Constructed as a state-of-the-art Volvo Open 70 racing yacht designed by Far Yacht Design, the vessel was skippered by renowned American sailor Paul Guyard, one of the sport's most respected competitors. During the race, the Black Pearl sailed approximately 31,000 nautical miles, 57,000 kilometers, across 9 international legs, visiting major ports throughout Europe, Africa, Australia, South America, and North America over an 8-month period. The yacht prominently displayed Pirates of the Caribbean branding, attracting widespread media coverage from both sporting and entertainment outlets while introducing the film to millions of spectators worldwide. The campaign proved especially successful after the Black Pearl secured an impressive second-place overall finish, generating additional publicity and reinforcing the adventurous seafaring theme central to the franchise. The sponsorship remains one of Disney's most distinctive examples of experiential film marketing outside the traditional entertainment industry. Disney further expanded the promotional campaign through a comprehensive merchandising program that became one of the studio's largest consumer product launches of the mid-2000s. Licensed merchandise included highly detailed action figures, collector's editions, vinyl figures, replica swords, pirate pistols, compasses, jewelry, costumes, role-playing accessories, model ships, plush toys, apparel, backpacks, watches, mugs, posters, keychains, puzzles, board games, trading cards, school supplies, and numerous other branded consumer products. Several manufacturers also produced premium collectible statues and prop replicas aimed at adult collectors, including recreations of Jack Sparrow's compass, Davy Jones' key, and the Dead Man's Chest itself. The film's soundtrack by Hans Zimmer was released commercially alongside the movie and formed another key component of the promotional campaign, while tie-in video games and interactive media further expanded the franchise's presence across multiple entertainment platforms. Disney's theme parks also played an important role in promoting the film. Following the enormous popularity of the original movie, Pirates of the Caribbean, attractions at Disneyland, Walt Disney World, and several international Disney parks received increased promotional attention during the sequel's release period. Retail locations throughout the parks prominently featured exclusive merchandise, costumes, collectibles, and theme displays inspired by Dead Man's Chest. Promotional banners, character artwork, and large-scale displays appeared throughout Disney properties, while many Disney stores and major retail partners worldwide created dedicated in-store exhibits featuring life-sized character standees, pirate-themed decorations, and merchandise inspired by the film. These displays were accompanied by theatrical lobby installations, promotional contests, sweepstakes, advanced screenings, and media events that maintained public excitement throughout the summer of 2006. Collectively, Disney's integrated worldwide marketing campaign successfully transformed Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Man's Chest into one of the most heavily promoted films of its era. By combining traditional advertising with innovative global partnerships, publishing initiatives, consumer products, digital promotion, and extensive cross-platform branding, the studio sustained intense audience anticipation for more than 6 months before release. The campaign played a significant role in the film's extraordinary commercial success, helping it achieve record-breaking opening weekend revenues, become the fastest film at the time to surpass $1 billion at the global box office, and finish as the highest-grossing film of 2006, while further establishing the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise as one of Disney's most valuable and internationally recognized cinematic properties. Pirates of the Caribbean: Dead Man's Chest celebrated its world premiere on June 24, 2006, at the Disneyland Resort in Anaheim, California, in what became one of the largest and most elaborate film premieres ever organized by the Walt Disney Company. Rather than hosting the event at a conventional Hollywood theater, Disney chose Disneyland as the birthplace of the iconic Pirates of the Caribbean attraction that had originally inspired the film franchise to emphasize the property's unique connection to the company's history. The premiere transformed New Orleans Square into a spectacular pirate-themed venue, with extensive decorations, period-inspired set pieces, theatrical lighting, pyrotechnics, live music, costumed performers, pirate ships, and immersive entertainment designed to recreate the atmosphere of the film. Guests walked a specially constructed red carpet through the park while surrounded by elaborate promotional displays celebrating the sequel. Thousands of invited guests, entertainment journalists, photographers, Disney executives, industry professionals, contest winners, and fans gathered to witness the event, making it one of the most widely covered Hollywood premieres of 2006. The celebration also featured exclusive presentations, cast interviews, live television coverage, and extensive behind-the-scenes media access, generating substantial publicity across newspapers, television networks, entertainment websites, and international news outlets. Director Gore Verbinski, producer Jerry Bruckheimer, and principal cast members including Johnny Depp, Orlando Bloom, Keira Knightley, Bill Nighy, Jack Davenport, Kevin McNally, Jonathan Pryce, Naomie Harris, Tom Hollander, and numerous supporting cast members attended the premiere alongside Disney executives and special guests. Serving as the centerpiece of Disney's worldwide promotional campaign, the premiere successfully generated enormous international media attention and further heightened anticipation for what was already one of the year's most eagerly awaited blockbuster releases. Following its high-profile premiere, Pirates of the Caribbean: Dead Man's Chest was released theatrically in the United States on July 7, 2006, by Walt Disney Pictures, with domestic distribution handled by Buena Vista Pictures Distribution. Disney strategically selected the lucrative Independence Day holiday period and the height of the summer blockbuster season, positioning the sequel as the studio's flagship live-action release of 2006. Confidence in the film's commercial prospects was reflected in its exceptionally wide theatrical rollout across 4,133 cinemas throughout the United States and Canada, making it one of the widest domestic releases ever at the time. Upon opening, the film ranked as the third-largest theatrical launch in history by theater count, surpassed only by Shrek 2, 2004, and Spider-Man 2, 2004. It also became the fourth film released during 2006 to debut in more than 4,000 theaters, following Mission Impossible 3, Over the Hedge, and Superman Returns. The enormous release strategy ensured that audiences nationwide could see the film immediately upon release, with multiplexes dedicating numerous screens to accommodate overwhelming demand. Advance ticket sales were exceptionally strong, midnight screenings sold out in many cities, and theaters across North America reported record attendance throughout opening weekend. The unprecedented scale of the release played a major role in the film's historic opening weekend performance, during which it established a new all-time domestic opening weekend box office record and confirmed its status as one of the biggest cinematic events of the decade. The film's international rollout began almost simultaneously, with Dead Man's Chest opening throughout July and August 2006 across major territories including the United Kingdom, France, Germany, Spain, Italy, Australia, Japan, South Korea, Mexico, Brazil, and numerous other international markets. Disney coordinated an extensive worldwide release schedule supported by regional premieres, press conferences, television appearances, promotional tours, and localized advertising campaigns tailored to individual territories. The sequel was screened in thousands of theaters worldwide, including premium digital auditoriums and large-format venues were available, allowing international audiences to experience the film's groundbreaking visual effects and expansive action sequences under optimal presentation conditions. Driven by the immense popularity of The Curse of the Black Pearl, anticipation reached extraordinary levels before release, with advance bookings breaking records in several countries and opening day screenings selling out weeks in advance. The film rapidly became the dominant global release of the summer season, consistently leading international box office charts for weeks and ultimately earning approximately $1.066 billion worldwide. It concluded its theatrical run as the highest-grossing film of 2006. The third highest-grossing film in history at the time of its release, the highest-grossing installment in the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise, and the first film distributed by Disney to surpass the prestigious $1 billion milestone at the worldwide box office, further cementing the franchise as one of the studio's most successful cinematic properties. Beyond its commercial significance, Pirates of the Caribbean: Dead Man's Chest also represented an important technological and branding milestone for Walt Disney Pictures. It became the first feature film to debut with the studio's completely redesigned computer-generated Walt Disney Pictures logo, replacing the previous hand-painted and traditionally animated castle ident that had been used for many years. Development of the new opening logo began approximately 1 year before the film's release as part of Disney's effort to modernize its corporate branding while preserving the timeless imagery associated with the studio. Rather than presenting a static castle image, the redesigned logo featured an elaborate cinematic journey through a richly detailed fantasied landscape, with the camera soaring over rivers, forests, and mountains before arriving at an intricately rendered Cinderella castle beneath a twilight sky. The sequence incorporated cutting-edge digital animation, realistic lighting, volumetric atmospheric effects, reflections, dynamic camera movements, and highly detailed environmental textures, creating a far more immersive and cinematic opening than any previous Walt Disney Pictures logo. The final realization of the redesigned logo resulted from a collaboration between Wattier d'Iris FX, then operating as Weta Digital, and the creative motion design studio U+Co, whose artists combined advanced computer-generated imagery with sophisticated compositing techniques to produce the finished animation. Visual effects supervisors and artists Cyrese Parrish and Cameron Smith played leading roles in the rendering and technical execution of the logo, helping establish a visual identity that would remain synonymous with Walt Disney Pictures for more than 15 years, appearing before hundreds of the studio's live-action and animated releases between 2006 and 2022. Complementing the updated visuals was a newly recorded orchestral arrangement of Disney's iconic signature melody, "When You Wish Upon a Star." Composer Mark Mancina was commissioned to compose an expanded cinematic arrangement specifically for the new logo, while acclaimed orchestrator David Metzger collaborated on its orchestration and musical adaptation. The resulting fanfare featured a richer orchestral sound, broader dynamic range, and more majestic presentation than earlier versions, perfectly matching the scale and grandeur of the redesigned castle animation. Premiering immediately before Pirates of the Caribbean: Dead Man's Chest, the new logo became one of the most recognizable studio idents in modern filmmaking, symbolizing Disney's transition into a new era of blockbuster filmmaking while reinforcing the prestige, scale, and cinematic ambition of one of the company's most successful releases of the 2000s. Following its record-breaking theatrical success, Pirates of the Caribbean: Dead Man's Chest enjoyed an equally remarkable performance in the home entertainment market, becoming one of the most successful DVD releases of the 2000s and further solidifying the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise as one of Disney's most profitable multimedia properties. The film was first released on DVD in the United Kingdom on November 20, 2006, before arriving in the United States on December 5, 2006. Through Walt Disney Home Entertainment. Released less than 5 months after its theatrical debut, the home media launch benefited from the immense momentum generated by the film's historic box office run, during which it became the highest-grossing film of 2006 and the fastest film at the time to surpass the $1 billion mark worldwide. Disney supported the DVD launch with a comprehensive international marketing campaign that included national television commercials, newspaper and magazine advertisements, online promotions, retailer-exclusive promotions, point-of-sale displays, and cross-promotional partnerships with major chains such as Walmart, Target, Best Buy, and other leading home entertainment retailers. Large promotional displays featuring Captain Jack Sparrow, Davy Jones, and the Black Pearl appeared in stores across North America and numerous international markets, while advance pre-orders, midnight launch events, and exclusive collector promotions generated substantial consumer excitement. Anticipation for the release proved exceptionally strong, with retailers reporting high advance reservations and heavy customer demand during the opening week, making it one of Disney's most eagerly anticipated home video launches of the decade. Upon its release, Dead Man's Chest immediately dominated the home entertainment market. In the United States alone, the DVD sold approximately 9,498,304 units during its first week, generating an estimated $174,039,324 in consumer spending and recording one of the largest opening weeks ever achieved by a live-action feature on DVD. The release debuted at the top of national DVD sales and rental charts, significantly outperforming competing titles and becoming one of the fastest-selling home video releases of its era. Throughout its overall home media lifecycle, the film went on to sell approximately 16,694,937 DVD units in the United States, generating more than $320,871,909 in domestic DVD revenue alone. These extraordinary figures established Dead Man's Chest as the best-selling DVD of 2006 by units sold and the second highest-grossing DVD release of the year by sales revenue, finishing behind only Disney's The Chronicles of Narnia, The Lion, The Witch and the Wardrobe. The film's remarkable commercial performance further demonstrated the enduring popularity of the Pirates of the Caribbean brand and substantially increased Disney's revenue beyond its already record-breaking theatrical earnings. Internationally, the DVD also achieved exceptional success across Europe, Asia, Australia, Latin America, and numerous other territories, consistently ranking among the year's highest-selling home entertainment releases and reinforcing the franchise's global appeal. To appeal to a broad audience ranging from casual viewers to dedicated collectors, Walt Disney Home Entertainment released the film in multiple DVD editions. The standard single-disc edition presented the feature film in anamorphic widescreen with Dolby Digital surround sound, delivering high-quality picture and audio suitable for mainstream audiences. For collectors and enthusiasts, Disney also released an expanded two-disc collector's edition, which significantly enhanced the home viewing experience through an extensive selection of exclusive bonus features. Among the highlights was an audio commentary recorded by screenwriters Ted Elliott and Terry Rossio, who discussed the origins of the story, character development, screenplay revisions, maritime mythology, production challenges, and the creative decisions that transformed The Curse of the Black Pearl into the opening chapter of an interconnected trilogy. The DVD also featured a humorous gag reel showcasing outtakes, improvisations, and behind-the-scenes moments involving the cast and crew, offering audiences a lighter look at the demanding production. The collector's edition was particularly praised for its comprehensive behind-the-scenes content, making it one of Disney's most feature-rich DVD releases of the period. Its centerpiece was the feature-length documentary According to Plan, the harrowing and true story of Dead Man's Chest, an extensive production documentary chronicling the making of the film from early story development through pre-production, principal photography, visual effects, post-production, and the world premiere. Running substantially longer than a typical promotional featurette, the documentary provided an unusually candid examination of the logistical challenges involved in creating one of Hollywood's most ambitious productions. It included behind-the-scenes footage from filming in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Dominica, the Bahamas, California, and numerous studio locations, documenting the cast and crew's experiences working under extreme weather conditions, filming during hurricane season, constructing and operating full-scale pirate ships, staging elaborate practical stunts, and coordinating one of Disney's largest international productions. The documentary also explored the collaborative efforts of director Gore Verbinski, producer Jerry Bruckheimer, and the film's technical departments as they balanced practical filmmaking with cutting-edge digital effects. Complementing the main documentary were 8 additional featurettes, each focusing on specific aspects of the production. These explored the creation of Davy Jones and the Cursed Crew of the Flying Dutchman, the revolutionary visual effects developed by Industrial Light Magic, the conceptual design and animation of the Kraken, the construction of practical sets and ships, costume and production design, stunt choreography, sword fighting, maritime special effects, and the challenges of filming on open water. Several featurettes also examined the integration of Bill Nighy's groundbreaking motion capture performance into one of cinema's most celebrated digital characters, while others highlighted the extensive makeup work for Bootstrap Bill Turner and the use of practical effects alongside computer-generated imagery. Additional bonus material included exclusive coverage of the film's spectacular world premiere at Disneyland, promotional footage, cast interviews, production galleries, and discussions with visual effects artists, designers, stunt coordinators, composers, and other members of the filmmaking team. Collectively, the extensive supplemental content was widely praised by critics and home entertainment reviewers for offering one of the most detailed and informative behind-the-scenes presentations available on a major studio DVD release during the format's peak years. The film made its high-definition debut on Blu-ray disc on May 22, 2007, once again through Walt Disney Home Entertainment. Released during the early years of the Blu-ray format, the high-definition edition presented the film in 1080p Full HD with significantly improved image clarity, color reproduction, contrast, and detail compared with the standard DVD release. The Blu-ray also featured enhanced lossless audio that better showcased Hans Zimmer's sweeping orchestral score, the film's immersive sound design, and its dynamic action sequences. Many of the bonus features from the collector's edition DVD were carried over to the Blu-ray release, allowing audiences to enjoy the extensive documentaries and featurettes in higher quality. Because of its richly detailed cinematography, elaborate production design, vibrant Caribbean landscapes, and Academy Award-winning visual effects, Dead Man's Chest quickly became one of Disney's most popular early Blu-ray catalog titles and was frequently used by home theater enthusiasts to demonstrate the capabilities of emerging high-definition television and Blu-ray technology. Beyond physical media, Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Man's Chest continued to attract large audiences through television broadcasts. In the United Kingdom, the film received its terrestrial television premiere on BBC One on Boxing Day, December 26, 2008, airing in the prestigious 8:30 p.m. primetime holiday slot traditionally reserved for major family entertainment. The broadcast attracted approximately 6.8 million viewers, according to overnight audience estimates, making it one of the most-watched programs of the evening and demonstrating the film's enduring popularity with audiences more than 2 years after its theatrical release. The film subsequently became a regular feature on network and cable television across numerous international markets, maintaining strong ratings through repeated broadcasts. In later years, it transitioned successfully to digital distribution through electronic sell-through services, video-on-demand platforms, and subscription streaming services, ensuring that one of Disney's most successful blockbuster films remain widely accessible to audiences around the world while continuing to generate revenue long after its initial theatrical and home media releases. Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Man's Chest became one of the most significant commercial successes in the history of the motion picture industry, establishing itself as the defining global box office phenomenon of 2006 and further elevating the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise into one of Hollywood's premier blockbuster series. Produced on an estimated budget of $225 million, the film earned $423,315,812 in the United States and Canada and an additional $642,863,913 from international territories, bringing its worldwide theatrical total to $1,066,179,725. The extraordinary performance made it the highest-grossing film of 2006, the highest-grossing installment in the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise, and one of the most successful films ever released at the time. It also became the first film distributed by Walt Disney Pictures to surpass the coveted $1 billion mark at the worldwide box office, a landmark achievement that fundamentally reshaped Disney's live-action business and demonstrated the studio's ability to compete with the largest global franchises. At the conclusion of its theatrical run, Dead Man's Chest ranked as the third highest-grossing film in history, trailing only James Cameron's Titanic, 1997, and Peter Jackson's The Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King, 2003. Furthermore, it became only the third motion picture ever to exceed $1 billion worldwide, reaching the milestone in an unprecedented 63 days, making it the fastest film in history to accomplish the feat at that time. Although this record was later surpassed by a succession of major blockbusters beginning with Avatar, 2009, in early 2010, Dead Man's Chest established a new commercial benchmark for worldwide franchise filmmaking and demonstrated the increasing importance of international markets to Hollywood's financial success. According to current all-time rankings, the film remains among the highest-grossing releases ever distributed by Disney, one of the studio's most successful live-action productions, and one of the defining box office achievements of the 21st century. In North America, Dead Man's Chest delivered one of the most extraordinary domestic theatrical performances ever recorded. Released on July 7, 2006, in an exceptionally wide launch across 4,133 theaters, the sequel immediately shattered multiple industry records. On its opening day alone, the film earned approximately $55.8 million, establishing a new single-day domestic box office record and surpassing the previous benchmark set by Star Wars, Episode III: Revenge of the Sith, 2005. The film also recorded the highest Friday gross in North American history, overtaking X-Men: The Last Stand, 2006, while its $135.6 million opening weekend established a new all-time domestic opening weekend record, surpassing Spider-Man, 2002. Simultaneously, it achieved the largest July opening weekend ever recorded, exceeding the previous July benchmark established by Spider-Man 2, 2004, and became Disney's biggest domestic opening to date. These record-breaking results reflected extraordinary audience anticipation generated by the immense popularity of The Curse of the Black Pearl, Johnny Depp's Academy Award-nominated performance as Captain Jack Sparrow, and Disney's extensive worldwide marketing campaign, which had positioned the sequel as the year's premier cinematic event. The film maintained exceptional momentum throughout its theatrical run, continuing to establish new box office milestones at an unprecedented pace. It became the fastest film in domestic box office history at the time to reach the $100 million, $200 million, and $300 million milestones, while also setting a new record for the largest 10-day domestic gross ever recorded. During its opening frame, the sequel comfortably dominated the North American box office, outperforming major competitors including Superman Returns and The Devil Wears Prada by a substantial margin. The film remained the #1 movie in North America for 3 consecutive weekends, making it one of only 2 films released during 2006 to accomplish this feat. Alongside Happy Feet, its impressive staying power demonstrated exceptional audience satisfaction and repeat viewership, allowing the film to remain a dominant theatrical attraction throughout the summer. Although many of its speed records were later surpassed by subsequent blockbusters such as Spider-Man 3, 2007, and The Dark Knight, 2008, Dead Man's Chest played a crucial role in redefining expectations for blockbuster openings and sustained box office performance during the modern franchise era. By late August 2006, the film achieved another historic milestone when it surpassed Finding Nemo, 2003, to become the highest-grossing Disney release in North American box office history, further illustrating the enormous popularity of the franchise. Remaining in theaters until December 7, 2006, The sequel concluded its domestic run with $423.3 million, making it one of the highest-grossing North American releases ever at the time of its release. Even after nearly 2 decades of inflation and changing market conditions, the film continues to rank among the most successful domestic releases in cinema history. It remains the highest-grossing domestic release of 2006, the highest-grossing Pirates of the Caribbean film in North America, and one of the highest-grossing Disney films ever released in the domestic market. Industry estimates indicate that approximately 64.6 million admissions were sold in the United States during its theatrical run, illustrating the immense scale of its audience and confirming its status as one of the decade's most widely attended motion pictures. Internationally, Pirates of the Caribbean: Dead Man's Chest proved even more dominant, earning an outstanding $642.9 million outside North America and becoming the highest-grossing international release of 2006. Disney's carefully coordinated worldwide distribution strategy ensured that the sequel opened in major territories across Europe, Asia, Oceania, Latin America, and other global markets within a relatively short timeframe, maximizing audience interest generated by its exceptional North American debut. The film remained the #1 movie at the international box office for 9 consecutive weekends and led overseas markets for 10 weekends overall, an extraordinary accomplishment rarely achieved by major Hollywood releases. Throughout the summer of 2006, Dead Man's Chest consistently dominated international box office charts, demonstrating the growing worldwide appeal of Disney's pirate franchise and the increasing global popularity of Johnny Depp's Captain Jack Sparrow. The sequel delivered particularly exceptional performances across numerous international territories. In the United Kingdom, it opened with approximately $18.4 million, establishing the country's largest opening weekend of 2006 and surpassing the previous record set by Ice Age: The Meltdown. The film also established opening weekend box office records in Russia and CIS, Ukraine, Finland, Malaysia, Singapore, Greece, and Italy, reflecting the franchise's rapidly expanding global popularity. Throughout its international run, Dead Man's Chest ultimately became the highest-grossing film released during 2006 in numerous key markets, including Australia, Bulgaria, Germany, Japan, the Netherlands, New Zealand, Spain, Sweden, and Thailand. Particularly strong performances in Japan, Germany, the United Kingdom, Australia, and several major European territories contributed substantially to the film's worldwide total, while consistent success across Asia and Latin America enabled it to comfortably surpass the billion-dollar threshold. The film's remarkable overseas performance demonstrated Disney's growing strength in international distribution and confirmed that the Pirates of the Caribbean series had evolved into one of the world's most universally successful entertainment franchises. The unprecedented worldwide commercial success of Pirates of the Caribbean: Dead Man's Chest represented a transformative moment for the Walt Disney Company and the modern film industry. Beyond becoming Disney's first billion-dollar theatrical release, the film demonstrated the immense worldwide commercial potential of original fantasy adventure franchises outside the superhero and science fiction genre. Its extraordinary box office performance significantly expanded the global profile of the Pirates of the Caribbean series, guaranteed the continued production of future sequels, and established Captain Jack Sparrow as one of the most recognizable and commercially valuable cinematic characters of the 21st century. The film's success also reinforced Disney's confidence in investing heavily in large-scale live-action franchise filmmaking, influencing the studio's long-term blockbuster strategy for years to come. More than 2 decades after its release, Pirates of the Caribbean: Dead Man's Chest continues to be celebrated as one of the defining commercial triumphs of modern cinema, a landmark achievement in worldwide box office history, and one of the most successful and influential blockbuster films ever produced. Pirates of the Caribbean: Dead Man's Chest received mixed to positive reviews from critics upon its theatrical release in 2006, although audience reactions were substantially more enthusiastic, resulting in a noticeable contrast between critical opinion and public reception. Many reviewers acknowledged that the sequel did not entirely recapture the freshness, originality, and sense of surprise that had made Pirates of the Caribbean: The Curse of the Black Pearl, 2003, an unexpected critical and commercial success. Nevertheless, the film earned widespread praise for dramatically expanding the scope of the franchise through its darker supernatural mythology, larger-scale action sequences, richer world-building, and significantly more ambitious visual spectacle. Critics admired director Gore Verbinski's confident handling of the film's enormous production, applauding his ability to combine swashbuckling adventure, fantasy, horror, comedy, and spectacle into a visually distinctive blockbuster. The performances of the principal cast of particularly Johnny Depp, Bill Nighy, Orlando Bloom, Keira Knightley, Jack Davenport, and Stellan Skarsgård are frequently singled out from praise, while the film's elaborate production design, practical effects, cinematography by Dariusz Zwolski, costume design, and Hans Zimmer's dynamic orchestral score were also widely recognized as major strengths. However, several reviewers criticized the sequel's extended running time, increasingly complicated mythology, densely layered screenplay, uneven pacing, and unresolved cliffhanger conclusion, arguing that the narrative functioned more as the middle installment of a larger trilogy than as a fully self-contained adventure. Despite these criticisms, the film has undergone considerable critical re-evaluation in the years since its release and is now widely regarded as one of Disney's most technically accomplished live-action productions, one of the defining fantasy blockbusters of the 2000s, and among the strongest entries in the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise. On the review aggregation website Rotten Tomatoes, Pirates of the Caribbean: Dead Man's Chest holds an approval rating of 53%. Based on 229 professional reviews, with an average rating of 6.010. The website's critical consensus states, "Gone is Depp's unpredictability and much of the humor and originality of the first movie." While the aggregate score reflected a divided response from professional critics, numerous individual reviews nevertheless acknowledged that the film remained a highly entertaining summer blockbuster whose spectacular action, imaginative fantasy elements, and technical achievements largely compensated for its narrative shortcomings. On Metacritic, which assigns a weighted average score based on selected reviews from major publications, the film received a score of 53 out of 100, based on 37 critics, indicating mixed or average reviews. In sharp contrast to the more reserved critical reception, audiences responded overwhelmingly positively. According to CinemaScore, moviegoers surveyed during the film's opening weekend awarded the sequel an impressive A grade on the company's A+ to F scale, demonstrating exceptionally strong audience satisfaction and helping fuel the film's remarkable box office longevity through positive word of mouth. That disparity between critics and audiences became one of the defining aspects of the film's reception, as moviegoers embraced its large-scale entertainment value despite the reservations expressed by many reviewers. Among the film's most enthusiastic supporters was Michael Booth of the Denver Post, who awarded the film 3.5 stars out of 4, describing it as 2 hours and 20 minutes of escapism that once again makes the movie safe for guilt-free fun. Booth praised director Gore Verbinski for successfully expanding the scale of the original film without sacrificing its adventurous spirit, arguing that the sequel delivered precisely the kind of imaginative blockbuster entertainment audiences sought during the summer movie season. Likewise, film critic Drew McQueenie drew favorable comparisons between Dead Man's Chest and The Empire Strikes Back, 1980, suggesting that both films served as darker, more emotionally complex middle chapters that significantly expanded the mythology established by their predecessors while concluding with memorable cliffhangers that heightened anticipation for the concluding installment. McQueenie particularly admired the film's willingness to deepen the franchise's supernatural mythology through the introduction of Davy Jones, the legendary Flying Dutchman, the monstrous Kraken, and the morally ambiguous conflict between pirates and the East India Trading Company, arguing that these additions transformed the series into a richer and more ambitious fantasy saga. One of the film's most universally acclaimed achievements was its groundbreaking visual effects, especially the creation of Davy Jones, portrayed by Bill Nighy through revolutionary performance capture technology developed by Industrial Light Magic. ILM. At the time of the film's release, Davy Jones was widely regarded as one of the most convincing and technically sophisticated computer-generated characters ever created for a live-action motion picture. Critics consistently praised the extraordinary realism of the character's facial expressions, skin textures, bioluminescent details, animated tentacles, and emotional subtlety, with many reviewers mistakenly believing that Nighy had performed primarily beneath elaborate prosthetic makeup rather than through digital animation. The seamless integration of Nighy's performance with ILM's visual effects represented a major milestone in the evolution of motion capture filmmaking and fundamentally changed industry perceptions regarding the emotional capabilities of digitally created characters. The achievement was widely recognized as one of the film's greatest accomplishments and ultimately earned Dead Man's Chest the Academy Award for Best Visual Effects at the '79 Academy Awards, where its visual innovations were celebrated as setting new standards for blockbuster filmmaking. Several of the era's most prominent film critics also praised the sequel's remarkable technical craftsmanship despite expressing reservations about its screenplay and narrative structure. A.O. Scott of the New York Times commended Gore Verbinski's energetic direction, observing that audiences received 2.5 hours of spirited swashbuckling while praising the filmmaker's exceptional ability to integrate practical filmmaking with cutting-edge digital effects. Scott argued that Verbinski demonstrated a command of large-scale fantasy filmmaking comparable to acclaimed directors such as Peter Jackson and Steven Spielberg, particularly in his seamless blending of practical action, elaborate production design, and sophisticated CGI into a cohesive cinematic experience. Likewise, Empire magazine awarded the film 3 out of 5 stars, once again identifying Johnny Depp's performance as Captain Jack Sparrow as the sequel's greatest asset. The magazine described Depp as an unmitigated joy, praising his distinctive physical comedy, unpredictable mannerisms, eccentric vocal delivery, expressive facial performance, and remarkable ability to dominate virtually every scene in which he appeared. Empire also commended screenwriters Ted Elliott and Terry Rossio for constructing an adventure built around constantly shifting alliances, betrayals, moral ambiguity, and unpredictable character dynamics, emphasizing that Jack Sparrow's fundamentally selfish yet charismatic personality continued to distinguish him from more conventional Hollywood action heroes. Beyond Depp's performance, numerous critics praised the film's ambitious production values and technical artistry. The sequel's expansive Caribbean locations, richly detailed pirate ships, elaborate costume design, practical stunt work, and intricately choreographed action sequences were widely admired. Particularly the spectacular three-way sword duel atop the giant water wheel on Ida Cruces, the escape from Cannibal Island, and the climactic attack of the Kraken on the Black Pearl. Many reviewers considered these sequences among the finest examples of practical and digital filmmaking produced during the decade. Hans Zimmer's powerful orchestral score also received significant acclaim for expanding the musical identity established in the original film, introducing memorable new themes associated with Davy Jones and the Flying Dutchman while heightening both the emotional and dramatic intensity of the story. The film's darker visual style, eerie atmosphere, and increasingly mature tone were also praised by critics who appreciated the franchise's willingness to evolve beyond the lighter adventure comedy approach of the first installment. Not every reviewer, however, found the sequel equally successful. Christy Lemire of the Associated Press argued that the film became even more cartoonish than the original, comparing several of its elaborate action sequences to a live-action adaptation of the classic Road Runner and Wile E. Coyote animated shorts. Although she acknowledged the film's technical sophistication and energetic pacing, Lemire suggested that its increasingly exaggerated action occasionally overwhelmed the emotional core of the story. Similarly, Paul Laurent of the BBC compared Dead Man's Chest to The Matrix Reloaded, 2003, observing that both films function primarily as transitional chapters designed to bridge larger trilogies rather than fully satisfying standalone narratives. Arendt argued that the sequel's unresolved ending left too many major storylines incomplete, requiring audiences to wait for the final installment before experiencing narrative closure.